Hey, it's Mr. A back at you with another art video. Today we're going to be learning some basic proportions of the face. Starting off, we're going to draw an oval. Don't worry if you mess it up the first time. I always draw light, fast, and loose, so I can make any corrections very easily with my eraser. I'm first going to divide this face in half, creating a center line down the middle and a center line down halfway through the head. Before we focus on any details or facial features, we want to map out more proportion. So halfway down between the bottom half of the head, we're going to mark the quarter mark. Once again, we're going to divide the quarter into an eighth. We'll make a small mark across the center line and move on. Here comes the eye line. We're going to make sure to mark the right and left side across the center mark, and we're going to divide it up into a proportion known as 5 eyes wide. Starting with the gap between the eyes, I'm going to approximate a width that seems that I could fit 5 across. Now obviously we don't have 5 eyes, but this unit of measurement allows us to use a piece that's always on the face to measure everything relative to this. The cool thing about this center eye gap is it actually provides us information about how wide the nose usually is, and we'll talk about that when we map that on. But now that you see these 5 football-like shapes across, you're going to guarantee that the eyes that we do leave on the paper are properly spaced across the entire head. Now I know it's tempting to dive into the details of the eyes, but we're going to move on to placing the base of the nose and the mouth. We've already done some hard work by dividing up the proportions, but I want you guys to see how the proportions are laid out before we add any details. One of the most important habits that I've picked up over the years is drawing very light. This makes easy work whenever I need to erase any of the mapping lines I use to place proportions. If any of the lines are too light, let's solidify them. I'm adding upper eyelids. Then I'm going to place the pupil directly on the eye line and then surround it by an iris. If you struggle with making those eyes look natural, try lowering the eyelids a little bit. They should cross over the iris or even a little bit over the pupil if you want. It's going to make it look a little bit more natural or relaxed. I'm going to place the nostrils next. Keep in mind that the line we drew is the base of the nose. So 2 flattened ovals for the nostrils and 2 parentheses on the outside are going to give us the flares to the nose. The next line is going to show us exactly where the 2 lips meet. I'm going to start with a line with a little bit of a dip in the middle, and then tip up the edges of the mouth. Then the little divot underneath your nose is a little upside down parentheses, and then a larger parentheses is the bottom lip. This guy's face is shaping up. We have a lot of information here, but let's not forget some of the other details that make it look like a human. So here's some eyebrows. The placement of these can show a lot of emotion or the shape. But more importantly, what about that bald head? Think about that as the skull. About halfway up in between the eyes to the top, I'm going to sketch in a hairline. And then I'll put in some ears. They start directly at the eye line and kind of extend below. And those would connect, kind of at the base of your jaw. I'm going to curve around what would be something like sideburns, depending on how low you want them to go. But then we need to add some fluff to the hair. Now, hairstyles can be anything. So the thing is that that's a whole nother video. But right now, this guy's kind of shaping up. The last finishing touch is going to be to refine the jawline. Depending on the person, there's all sorts of jawline shapes. How thick is the chin? How sharp are those bones on the corner there? Draw those lightly, mess around with it a little bit, and don't be afraid to use that eraser. Well, that just about does it for the basic face proportions. If you're feeling inspired to make some artwork now, it's a great time to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for some other great art videos. Thanks for tuning in to Art with Mr. A. See you next time.